Hello, dear students. I hope you are all doing well and your preparations are going on well. So, I'm hoping that you have subscribed to the channel and you have gone through the previous videos, because in the previous videos we have covered some really important topic. A few were basic and few were really important, and plus, I'm sure you must have attempted the MCQs which have been put up for you people. The topic which we would be covering today. The topic which we have today is so yes, the topic which we have today is a topic which is not, really covered during your graduation days, because it is not really required back then. And this is one topic which is extremely important for your NEET MDS examinations. You will be getting questions from this topic, but please remember there would be no direct question from here. Okay, questions are always asked from the properties of arch wire, but they are never direct questions. They'll twist it and then they will ask. So the basic funda has to be very, very clear. Only if your fundamentals are clear, only then you can answer those particular questions. And if you are an orthodontic resident, of course, this is something which you'll be covering in the very first year of your residency, because it helps you, to apply in your basic practical things which you are which you are like going on clinical part which you are doing. So yes, the thing which we would be covering today is basics of orthodontic arch wire, and as mentioned, MCQs, a set of MCQs would be done only after we complete this topic completely, right? So after completion of few topics, few lectures, then you'll have a round of MCQs. So students, stay tuned to it, subscribe to the channel, because there's a lot more coming up, and NEET MDS is something which shouldn't be taken lightly. Okay, so moving on, the things which we would be covering in this particular topic, that is part 1, is a stress strain proportional limit yield strength, stress strain curve, ultimate tensile strength, failure point, modulus of elasticity, stiffness, range, spring back, and a lot of other things, right? So before we start with the basic properties, you should know the basic things, the basic setup which we have in ortho. Okay, there is always a basic setup which is there. So the basic setup consists of, this is orthodontic bracket. This thing, do you see? This is an orthodontic bracket. The bracket is placed onto the tooth surface by the procedure of bonding. There is a separate topic of bonding which tells us how the bracket has to be bonded onto the tooth surface. So by using that particular mechanism, a bracket is bonded onto the tooth surface. Then to bring about the tooth movement, this is an orthodontic arch wire which is running. Do you see this arch wire? This is the arch wire which is running through the brackets, and these arch wires are secured into the bracket by tying a ligature or by giving a module. Okay, so coming to the history of orthodontics a little bit, see, with as the time is going on, there are advances which are coming up, and all these advances are basically evolutions. Those who are scientists, these orthodontists, they know that a particular thing has a certain set of drawbacks. Now it is very important that we remove these drawbacks so that improvisation can be done. Okay, so same thing happened earlier. The brackets which we had were non-programmed brackets. Okay, there was absolutely no programming done in them. So whatever the tooth movement was desired, that we used to do in the arch wire. So a lot of arch wire manipulation had to be done, and then it has to be placed in the bracket to bring about the desired tooth movement. Then as evolution occurred, what everybody noted, that a lot of time is going in changing the arch wire, in making the arch form, manipulating the wire. So it used to consume a lot of time. Therefore, they came up with the concept of programmed bracket. The new brackets which have come up are pre-programmed brackets. Tip, torque, everything is induced into the bracket. They are fully programmed. So what do we have to do now is simply place an arch wire. Okay, there are no bends which are given in the arch wire. Only an arch wire has to be placed to activate this particular bracket and to bring about desired tooth movement. So what is all these? These are all the basic evolution which is coming up. Okay, so this is the basic figure of ortho. Next, we have certain wires in orthodontics. Wires can be nitinol wires, stainless steel arch wires. We have TMA wire, algiloy wire. So all these are the different wires which are there in orthodontics. The figure which you see here is of a nitinol arch wire as mentioned. Now nitinol is nitti arch wires. They are, as you can see, preformed. Okay, it is already there in the shape, so they are preformed. The bracket which you see here is a stainless steel wire. We have stainless steel preformed wires coming. We even have straight length stainless steel wires which are available, which can be formed into the desired shape. Okay, so wires can be preformed, or we can have straight wires which we can form into the desired shape. Now a little more about wires. If I tell you, wires can be either round or rectangular. So whenever we are mentioning O12, O14, O16, O18, it means we are talking about round wires. Whereas if I'm using terminologies like 16, 22, 17, 25, 19, 25, 21, 25, all these are rectangular wires. Okay, maybe this concept is a little difficult for you and little confusing right now, but let's just start with the properties so that these things become clear. Okay, so the very first physical property which we would be covering is stress. I'm sure stress, strain, everybody knows about it, but let us think of it from orthodontic point of view. Okay, so starting with the basics, what is stress? Stress is force per unit area. Okay, so it is depicted by the formula. Stress is equal to F by A, that is force acting per unit area. Now stress can be of three types. There can be tension stress, there can be compressive stress, or there can be shear stress. So if you see the direction of this arrow, when my force is applied in two opposite directions, the kind of stress which is generated is known as tension stress. Okay, so we saw that stress are of three types: tension, compression, and shear. In tension stress, the force acts in opposite direction, whereas if the forces are acting in a compressed manner, okay, they are acting this way, the kind of stress which is generated is known as your compression stress. To give you an example of tension stress, suppose we have a rubber band or an elastic and we are trying to pull it apart. Okay, so there would be stress generated into it. So that kind of stress is known as tension stress because we are pulling it apart. So pull apart force, or the pull apart force induces your tension stress. Whereas if when we are giving compression kind of stress, the force is acting in the same direction. Please note the direction of the arrows. The third kind of stress which we have is a shear stress. In shear stress, the magnitude of force applied is same, but the direction is opposite. Because of this, the body or the object tends to rotate along its long axis. Okay, so this is basically stress. Stress is force per unit area. Given by the formula, stress is equal to F upon A. There are three kinds of stresses: tension, compression, and shear. Okay. Now, what is the result of stress? The result of stress is strain. What is strain? Strain is change in dimension upon the original dimension. Okay, so when I'm talking about an elastic, this suppose the original dimension of the elastic is 15 millimeters. I am stretching it to 20 millimeters. So there is change in dimension. So change in dimension is 20. Original dimension was 15. So when we do this formula, the number which we get becomes our strain. So this is how you calculate strain. Strain is induced in a particular object due to stress. Okay. Now, strain can be of two types. It can be either elastic or it can be plastic. What is elastic strain? When I am giving force on a particular object and if it comes back to its original shape, the kind of strain is known as elastic strain. Okay, so when original shape is regained, it is called elastic strain. And if the object cannot come back to its original position, original size and shape, in case it is deformed, then it is known as plastic strain. So this is depicted in this figure over here, where till a particular point, till yield stress, if the amount of stress does not cross the yield stress, we get elastic strain. That is, original shape will be regained. But beyond this particular point, there is plastic strain, meaning there would be permanent deformation has occurred and the object cannot come back to its original shape and position. Okay, so this is stress and strain. Stress is force per unit area. Because of stress, it induces strain in the body. When there is strain induced in the body, what happens? There's a change in dimension. So to calculate the amount of strain, the formula is change in dimension upon original dimension. Okay, now strain can be of two types: elastic, plastic. Elastic, it comes back to its original shape. Plastic, it does not come back to its original shape. Okay. Next concept is of proportional limit. I'm sure you people are aware of it. This is a quick revision for you people. Okay, proportional limit is basically when we plot a stress strain curve, there is a linear region which we see. Do you see this linear region? Till in this linear region, stress is directly proportional to strain. Okay, and stress is directly proportional to strain till a particular point, which is your proportional limit. So by definition, proportional limit marks the limit to which the material can be stressed without taking a permanent set. Okay, meaning if my rubber band can be stretched till 25 millimeters in such a manner that it will come back to its original shape and size and form, so that particular limit is known as my proportional limit. So proportional limit is the mark, the limit, it is basically the limit to which the material can be stretched. Okay, if I stretch it beyond that, there will be permanent deformation. So the limit to which the material can be stressed without taking a permanent set. Proportional limit is depicted on the stress strain curve till this particular point. Until that particular point, there is a linear region which is indicative that stress is directly proportional to strain. And my graph tends to curve beyond the proportional limit only. Okay, so this is stress strain curve, which is very important. The complete curve would be covered ahead. Stress strain curve can be easily asked in your exam, where they can even tell you to label it. How? I'll let you know. Before that, let us understand the concept of Young's modulus. Please note that Young's modulus is synonymous with elastic modulus and modulus of elasticity. So either of these words can be used interchangeably, so you do not have to get confused in your exams, because all three means the same. Okay, so Young's modulus, first thing, it is depicted by the letter E. E, what is Young's modulus? It is the ratio of stress and strain. Okay, so the ratio of stress by strain is your Young's modulus. So focus on this thing. Young's modulus E is equal to stress upon strain. In the previous slide, we already saw that what was stress? Stress was force per unit area. Therefore, F upon A. What did we see? Strain was change in length upon original length, or change in dimension divided by original dimension. So if my original dimension was L, my change in dimension would be depicted by delta L. So this is what they have done here. Change in dimension divided by original dimension. Okay. Suppose now you take this log. Do you see this figure? Consider this log. It is of length L. When strain occurs, what happens? There is change in dimension. So this is the change in dimension, which is depicted by delta L. Why? Because stress was acting on it. And what kind of stress is acting on it? Tensional stress. How did I come to know? Because of the direction of arrows. Okay, so this is a particular log. When tension stress act on the log, it leads to strain, that is change in dimension, which is depicted by delta L. Okay, so stress is force upon area, strain is delta L upon L. So this is how you calculate your Young's modulus. So this is one thing which can be asked in your exam, where they'll give you a question like maybe this much amount of force is applied per unit area, and the length of the log changed from 5 mm to 15 millimeters. Tell me the Young's modulus, or calculate the modulus of elasticity. So now you know the formula of modulus of elasticity, and by definition, modulus of elasticity is the ratio of stress upon strain. Okay. Next concept, Hooke's law. This is also very important topic, students. Please make a good note of it. Hooke's law is stress-strain ratio. What does Hooke's law state? It states that the stress-strain ratio is constant within the limit of elasticity. Yes, we know that. The stress at which a material ceases to obey Hooke's law, meaning the point or the stress at which my material will not obey the Hooke's law is known as limit of proportionality. So basically whatever we covered in the previous slides is basically Hooke's law. What did we see? We saw in this stress strain curve that till the proportional limit my stress is directly proportional to strain, and beyond my proportional limit there would be a permanent deformation which is occurring. Okay, so this entire concept is known as Hooke's law. So this is what Hooke said. He said that stress and strain ratio is constant within the limit of elasticity. We saw that material will behave in an elastic manner till a particular point, beyond which if more stress is given to it, it becomes plastic. There is plastic deformation. So this concept is known as your Hooke's law. Okay, if you are an ortho resident, you should know this because it can come in your first year paper. Okay, because basics are always asked in your first year, and Hooke's law is something which you should be very knowing. Okay, next thing, very important, the graph which you see here, students, is very important for your NEET MDS examination. I'll tell you how, but let us first see what is elastic limit. Elastic limit is the greatest load to which the wire can be subjected such that it returns to its original form. Now, till this part we saw the graph earlier, where when stress strain curve is plotted, this is the linear region, and where the linear region ends is known as your proportional limit. Till my proportional limit, stress is directly proportional to strain. Beyond the proportional limit and till the elastic limit, what happens? Elastic limit is my ultimate limit. Beyond this limit, there would be permanent deformation. So elastic limit is my ultimate limit where it is the greatest load to which the wire can be subjected. Imagine if the wire can be subjected to the load of 20 ounces till proportional limit. Till that time my stress will be proportional to strain. And if the elastic limit of the wire is 25, till 25, till the amount of force it reaches the elastic limit, it will come back to its original shape. But beyond my elastic limit, there would be a permanent deformation. That is like the threshold for the wire. Beyond this, the wire will never come back to its original shape. Okay, it is like if till this particular position, my stress is proportional to strain. Okay, until this particular position, this is the ultimate load which you can give, before which I will not deform. I will come back to my original shape. But beyond this particular line, there will be a permanent deformation. So the kind of question which can be asked here is, a stress strain curve will be plotted for you. Okay, and what you have to do is label it or match the following, wherein they might give you this as A. Elastic limit, that point can be marked as B. This is C, this is D. Identify A, B, C and D. So your A is proportional limit. B becomes your elastic limit. That is the greatest load till the wire will come back to its original shape. Next is your yield point and then the ultimate stress. So yes, you should be very much thorough with this particular graph. This is very important. So what happens? When the disproportion between the stress and strain is beyond the proportional limit, what happens? The wire reaches the yield point. The strength at which it occurs is known as the yield strength, meaning the amount of strength which is required to make the wire reach the yield point is your yield strength. Okay, at this particular point, the wire is not coming back to its original shape, size, position. Okay, it is permanently deformed. Okay, and once it is permanently deformed, ultimately it will fracture. That is, it will reach the point of rupture. And the amount of force or the amount of strength which is required to do that, to reach the ultimate stress, is known as your ultimate strength. Okay, so I hope this is clear. With this is a stress strain graph. There is a linear region till proportional limit where stress is directly proportional to strain. Beyond the proportional limit, my stress is not directly proportional to strain, but till elastic limit, my wire will come back to its original shape, size and position. Okay, beyond that is my yield point, where once the wire goes, it will not come back to its original size, shape and position. The amount of force which is required to reach the yield point is known as your yield strength, and beyond that the wire will ultimately fracture. So the amount of strength which is required to reach the ultimate stress is known as your ultimate strength. Okay, I hope this funda is clear. See, these things, they are not given very clearly in textbooks in a particular place. You have to basically search a few textbooks so that you can take content from everywhere, here and there, little bit, and then understand the concept. So this is like one compiled thing for you. You do not have so much of time, you are preparing for 18-19 set of subjects, and you do not actually have the time to sit on a particular topic and go through all the textbooks. No. So this is one compilation for you. This is taken from all the standard reference textbooks, and this is completely compiled. All you have compiled. All you have to do is just sit back and listen to the videos. Okay, I'm sure you all can do that easily. So yes, look at the videos, try to understand things. In case things are not clear, get back to me. Write down your doubts in the comment section so that the things can become clear. Plus, if there is anything which is not clear at all, okay, if you want a revision of that particular thing, or you want it to be explained more in depth, just write down in the comment section below. I will specially, make a video for you people then. Okay. Anyways, moving on and hoping that you have understood this concept, let us move on to the next concept of toughness. What is toughness? Toughness is the force which is required to fracture a material. Suppose this is my wire. Okay, I want to break it, I want to fracture it, so I have to apply some force. Okay, if the wire is tough, I will have to apply a lot of force to fracture it. It means tougher the wire, more force is required. So can we say that toughness is directly proportional to force? Yes. Or force is directly proportional to toughness? Same thing, but yes, these two entities are directly proportional. Tougher the material, more force is required to fracture it. Okay, so this is one property which is generally desirable in all the wires, because you do not want a wire which is not tough enough, because when you're trying to induce force into it, if it keeps fracturing, it is of no use. Okay, so what is toughness? It is the force which is required to fracture a material. Tougher the wire, tougher the material, more force is required to fracture it. Next, what is brittleness? Brittleness is opposite of toughness. Obviously, a material can either be tough or it can be brittle. But in terms of orthodontics, what is brittleness? Brittleness is inability to sustain plastic deformation before fracture. See, now I don't think the definition is directly clear to students. I'll let you know. See, brittleness. If this is the wire which is brittle, I apply some amount of force, and if it directly fractures, it means it is brittle. Okay, meaning a wire or a material is said to be brittle if it has the inability to sustain plastic deformation before getting fractured. The wire immediately gets fractured. There is no concept of plastic deformation here. The things which we saw earlier, that when you apply a particular amount of force, there is elastic deformation where it will come back to its original position. If you apply larger amount of force, there is plastic deformation, that it is permanently deformed. Okay, it will not come back to its original shape. And if you apply further force, it will fracture. Okay, so first there was elastic limit, then there was plastic limit, after which it used to fracture. Okay, where there was a rupture point. If a substance or a material is brittle, it does not have this particular funda of being plastic. From being elastic, it will directly fracture. So this is what is the definition of brittleness. It is the inability to sustain the plastic deformation before fracture. Before fracture, there should be a plastic deformation. No, but my brittle substance cannot sustain it. Either it is within the elastic limit or it will directly fracture. Okay, so this is toughness and brittleness. Toughness is the amount of force which is required to fracture a material. Tougher the material, more force is required. Brittleness is opposite of toughness. It is how quickly a wire can break. So basically it is the inability of a material to sustain plastic deformation. It will directly fracture. Why? Because it is brittle. Simple. Okay, so there's no plastic deformation occurring here. It will directly fracture. Next thing, the next concept is strength and stiffness. See, all these are terminologies. Okay, when you open an orthodontic textbook and you go through the properties of arch wire, all these properties and all these terminologies will be used. Suppose if you are reading about stainless steel wire, the wire has good toughness, it is stiff, it is strength is high, this thing formability is good. So if you don't know the meaning of these terms, how will you remember the properties of an arch wire? So to remember the properties of arch wire, to apply in your clinical arena, to know about it practically, to answer a particular question, you should be able to understand the concept. You should know the definitions of all these things. Okay, so that is what we are doing here, clearing up the basics. Okay, so let us see what is strength. Strength is the force which is required to activate an arch wire. Okay, so before we place an arch wire into the patient's mouth, it has to be activated. Okay, or when we are placing it into the bracket slot, it gets activated. Okay, so to activate this wire, we require some amount of force. If it is passive, it means it is not applying any force. Okay, so if it has to be active, meaning the wire will apply force only if the wire is active. In case it is lying passively, no force is exerted onto the tooth surface. Okay, so the amount of force which you need to activate an arch wire is known as strength. Simple. The force which is required to deform an arch wire is your stiffness. So this is the difference. If I required 20 grams of force to activate an arch wire, maybe I require 40 grams of force to deform it. Okay, so that is strength and stiffness. Strength, you require strength to activate it, and stiffness is the amount of force which is required to deform an arch wire, and stiffness is denoted by the letter K. K is equal to force upon deformation. That is how much force do you apply to ultimately deform the arch wire is your stiffness, and once deformed it does not come back to its original position. Okay, then next thing, what is range? Range is the distance the wire will bend elastically before permanent deformation occurs. So elastically is one thing which should be highlighted. So let me highlight this word for you. Elastically. Okay, it's not getting highlighted. So elastically is one thing which should be remembered here. Suppose now if my wire, this is my wire. Okay, I am bending the wire. I hold it from here and bend it this way. So the distance the wire will bend, this is the distance it has bent elastically, meaning it will come back to its original shape, size and position before permanent deformation occurs. So this distance which I am covering is the range of the wire. I know if I bring the wire till here, there will be permanent deformation. Okay, so that does not include in the range. So this area cannot be included in the range because my range is only till here. This till here only my range is there, because till this region the wire will behave in an elastic manner. Okay, so this is the range. This was my straight wire. See students, this is my straight wire. I hold it from here and bend the wire. This is how I bend it. So this distance which it has covered is the range of the wire. Why? Because till this particular point it will behave in an elastic manner. Beyond this, permanent deformation will occur. Okay, it will behave in a plastic manner, or there is permanent deformation which occurs. These are the different concepts which are there in orthodontics, and you have to be thorough with them. So now I think it is clear. Till a particular time, the amount of force which is applied. Okay, that is to activate an arch wire. If you apply more force, it will deform the arch wire. Okay, so that is how your force varies. Maybe your so the strength is the amount of force which is required to activate an arch wire. Stiffness is the force which is required to deform an arch wire. Range is the distance. So this becomes your distance D. Okay, again let me explain you the concept of range. Okay, range, if this is my straight wire and I hold the wire from here and bend it this way, so this line comes here, this portion of the wire comes here. So this is a particular distance which the wire has covered. Okay, till this particular point, the wire will behave in an elastic manner. So if you have heard the previous part of the video properly, you know what is elastic limit of the wire. Okay, beyond this particular point, the wire will start behaving in a plastic manner, that is, it will deform permanently. So this distance which the wire can be bent elastically before it permanently deforms is the range of the wire. Okay, right? Next concept. Now, yes, this is very important. Students understand this very properly. This is relationship of the length of the wire with respect to strength, stiffness and range. In case you have not understood strength, stiffness, range, go back and listen to the video again. You have to be 100% thorough with strength, stiffness and range before you come and attempt this particular slide. Okay, imagine now if you are suppose a graduate. Okay, you have completed BBS, and if you know how a straight stainless steel wire looks, good. In case you don't know, you have to imagine a stick, a long stick. Okay, if you are an ortho resident, imagine your stainless steel, maybe say 1725 stainless steel wire. Okay, so straight 1725 SS. Now, if this is the length of the wire, so the strength of the wire will be, what will be the strength? What was strength? It was the amount of force which is required to activate an arch wire. Obviously, the amount of force required will be less. If this is the stick, okay, if you want to bend it, it will be easy. Okay. Stiffness will also be reduced. Stiffness was the amount of force which is required to deform it. So if this is a single long stick, you can easily break it. Okay, so that will deform it. But my range will be increased. Range was the distance through which it can move in an elastic manner. Okay, so yes, when you take up a long stainless steel wire, you hold it from the center with the help of a plier, and when you bend it, you can easily bend it till 180 degrees. Can you? Yes, of course you can. Okay, if not see 180 degrees, maybe till 160 degrees, you can easily bend. So till when it was straight, till the time it bends to you 160 degrees, this particular distance which it is covering becomes your range. So that is how your strength, stiffness and range will vary depending upon the length of the wire. Imagine if the length of the wire is small. For graduates, you can imagine a small stick. Imagine this. Only if the length of the wire is this much. Okay. Now, the amount of force required to activate it will increase. Amount of force which is required to break it or deform it is more. Okay. There is less surface area. So how can you bend it easily? It becomes difficult. You have to apply more force. Okay, and the range of movement will be reduced. You can only bend it till a particular point. If you try to do it beyond that, it will fracture. So that is how, with my change in length of the wire, strength, stiffness and range varies. This is one thing which you have to be very clear, because in NEET MDS examinations, they can always ask these kind of questions. Okay, it can be image based question, it can be patient based questions. Okay, so this kind of questions which are a little tricky, where your basic concepts have to be very clear, they can always be asked. Okay, next, relationship of strength, stiffness and range with the diameter of wire. Okay, again what you have to do, all those who were imagining a stick, now you have to imagine a thick stick. Okay, and all those who were imagining a wire will now have to imagine a 25 stainless steel wire. Now, if this is a thick wire, the strength has obviously increased. It's a thick wire, you require a large amount of force to activate it. You cannot compare the amount of force which is required to activate a 1622 and a 2125 stainless steel wire. Can you? Of course you cannot. Similarly, the stiffness will increase. Can you easily deform a 2125 stainless steel wire? Of course you cannot. But you can always think of deforming a 1622 in an easier manner. Okay. Next, range of action is reduced. Yes. As the diameter increases, my range of movement reduces. If I have a very thick log, I cannot move that very thick stick into, whichever way I want. Okay, I will have to apply a lot of force to activate it or to deform it, and my range of movement will reduce. So this is how, with change in length and diameter, my strength, stiffness and range varies. Okay, so I'm hoping these concepts are clear to you. In case you have any doubt, you can always get back to me and ask. Otherwise, this has been compiled from a lot of books which had all the properties. Okay, so each and everything has been covered in depth. You need not go back to your books, open the books and see where things are given, or learn the definitions or anything. What you have to do is make sure that your fundas are clear, that each and every word is clear. You know what ranges. You should know what is the definition of toughness. If I am telling you 1725 is a stiff wire, you should know what I'm talking about. If I tell you 014 nitinol wire has good range, okay, then you should know what I'm talking about. So if the words like strength, stiffness, range, toughness, brittleness is clear, you can attempt all these questions. Okay, next thing, let us see the next concept, and the next concept is of spring back. What is spring back? It is a measure of how far a wire can be deflected, without causing permanent deformation. Suppose, this is, consider a spring. First spring you are pulling till here. Next spring you pull and you pull it down till here. Okay. So the distance, this is the distance, okay. So how far a wire can be deflected without causing permanent deformation? If I take this spring and just pull it till here and release it, it will come back to its original size, shape and position. But if I take this particular spring and stretch it till here, I should not expect it to come back to the same position. Okay, why? Because it has got permanently deformed. So this is the concept of spring back. If the spring back is good, there is good flexibility. Obviously, if this is the spring, I am pulling it till here, and if it is bouncing back, it means it is very flexible. And if it is flexible, it has a good spring back. But there is always a limit to everything. Okay, you cannot pull it apart so wide that it doesn't spring back to its original position. So the measure of how far, maybe till 5 centimeters, 7 centimeters, a wire can be deflected, or in degrees, it can be deflected only till 20 degree. So how far, basically till what distance a wire can be deflected without causing permanent deformation. If you take a wire, keep deflecting, it will ultimately lose the property. There would be plastic deformation occurring where it has lost its original properties, it will not come back to its original position, and it has been permanently deformed. So that distance, the range, can tell us about the spring back property of an arch wire, which is directly proportional to flexibility. Only if a wire is flexible, it will have a good spring back. If the wire is stiff, it will not have a spring back. Okay, so these are just few basic concepts which I have covered today. There are a lot more concepts which are there, which we would be covering in the eventual videos. I don't want to burden all these concepts together at one go, so it would be divided into different videos. So yes, these are the very basic ones which we have seen. Okay, so you people know what is stress, force per unit area, strain, change in dimension upon original dimension, proportional limit till which stress is directly proportional to strain and it is a linear region. Beyond the proportional limit is your yield strength, which is the ultimate strength. Stress strain curve, we covered each and everything in depth, and this is very important. So you should know that A is my proportional limit, B is my elastic limit, C is the yield strength, that way, because this can be always asked. Okay, ultimate tensile strength we saw, failure point where ultimately the wire will rupture. Modulus of elasticity, same as your Young's modulus depicted by E, which is the ratio of stress by strain. Stiffness, we just covered stiffness. Okay. Then we saw what is spring, spring back, we saw what is the range, and we saw what is toughness, what is brittleness, and the things which are not covered here will be covered in the next video, and there will be lot more other properties which are coming up. So stay tuned, listen to the videos, try to understand the concept so that you have absolutely no problem in solving the MCQs. So basic properties of orthodontic arch wire is one topic which would be covered in depth. Easier topics are already covered and put up. okay, like Andrews and cephalometry. This is a little tougher topic which has come up. Then we'll have a round of MCQs, and then again tough topics will be there, okay. So just to make your interest and to develop your interest, easier topics were covered earlier. You had a lot of image based questions to be attempted, but now what we would be doing is covering few set of video lectures followed by MCQs. Okay, again, video lectures, MCQs. Then when a major chunk is covered, we'll have a test series. Okay, so that is how you'll be able to basically analyze where you stand. Okay, so all the best students for your preparations. I hope the things are getting clear to you. Again, if there is any doubt, drop it into the comment section below. Subscribe the channel so that you always get notified whenever a video is getting uploaded. If there is any particular topic which you want to be covered, you can always tell me. Drop in the comment section that this topic is not clear. We can always take that topic first. Okay, and yes, all my videos will be basically based on what students want, okay, the way they should be benefited. So yes, stay tuned. All the very best. Thank you.